exhibit is about voting, and I wanted to get people out and voting, even though we're past the voting date. So this piece, I just started, it was in my head for like weeks, and I was looking at a blank canvas, which was torturing me. And then I decided, I saw the images come alive, and I started following just like all these faces, and I never do real faces. I don't try to be representational, but it's the emotion that I try to capture. And I love color, as you can tell. And I love, this one I didn't do with a knife, but usually I work with knives. And then here is silence, not golden. Because, and I have another painting where I say just silence is not golden, but it's like you have to vote and have your voice, which is what I put up there. It's called Seek the Spirit. I wanted to do something sort of the spiritual side, and people don't seem to seek the spirit. They seem to go into their own craziness. So I felt like the sun, the warmth, and also like a focal point. And these are my hands, in case you're wondering. I often do that on my artwork. I put my own hands in there, and I like dancing figures. This one is how much justice can you afford? And I love putting words into my paintings, lest someone should not get what I'm trying to say. And it was about, I was getting very frustrated because there were people, I forgot what case it was that got me going, but it was just like people who don't have the money can't get the backing, and they can't get the support, and they can't get the legal, whatever they need, networking to get out. So for me, it was like for all these cases, for the murders, for everything that's been unsolved, it's like just how much can you afford? And if you can't afford it, then it's that pain of knowing that you're just something's got to change in the system. There was an art exhibit, and I won unexpectedly Best of Show. And I started this though in Somerville when I was living there. They have an artist event called Windows, and you can create. They give you a topic, and this was food, and how food brings people together. So what I did was the integration of the lunch counter, and so this is supposed to be me. My dog, who was faithful, we used to get lost all the time, my mom, and then I put in all this extra stuff. And what's amazing is people really love the Reynolds wrap. They truly identify with that. And then these are the protesters. So these are the Klan, and I didn't use certain words because I didn't want to throw people off. And actually when I showed this piece and I sit it down, kids walk right into it, they own it. Because the colors and the images are so strong for them. And then these are the protesters. And then these are the people, black, white, anyone, who wanted to eat together, equal rights, north, south, east, west. It didn't make a difference. I was getting up with Bush and Cheney, the axis of stupidity that there was. So I was doing this, and it just, there you go. The asses of evil, another thing you can say. But I did this, and I like my figures to be screaming and moving around. And so this just came to my mind when I saw this. And people comment on it all the time. They love what I've said. And then just the images of sort of people in flames, but then they're still people. This was, again, around the election just before Obama was elected. I didn't know how it was going to go, but I did not have a good feeling about the country. And so to me, it was always about who votes, who counts, and then in the end, who counts the votes. Because there are politicians who have this magical way of bringing the dead back to vote. There are people who don't want to see people vote, so they make up stuff. And so it was all this, and then it was a city. I love doing buildings as well as people. So I call it Election Math 101. And when I've shown this, there's some people that just, their noses just get totally bent out of shape. And they want to believe something else, but this is my reality. I've been working on a series of paintings of what it's like to be disenfranchised. And so I've been looking at the American flag and playing with it in different scale, so that the stripes will be broader, or there'll be using the stars in the blue section. And this image is important to me because that's what it feels like when you're not a victim, when you are the butt of, when you are the person who's being ostracized and that racism is being thrown at you. But it's not being a victim. You're living it, and you're living it strongly, and you're going against it. But it's always like the flag is like this thing that is very elusive, and you can't quite see the front of it. You always have to see the back. And then I started doing, and then I added the words vote in there. And I have to admit, there was one year that I voted, and I was quite hurt because there were some teens that just said they had no reason to vote. So they were standing out on Washington Street, and I thought, yeah. But I also remember being their age and thinking the same thing. In fact, when I registered to vote, my parents were terrified that I was going to sign up for some really, truly radical Communist Party. And this one was because I realized that George Bush has the same initials as global warming, the GW. So I made it sort of like a crossword puzzle.
Yeah.
And I added the words oil and G for global and warming. Like, he's the only president that's ever had his initials associated with something so disastrous. And then again, the people, it always comes down to these are the people and this is what they're saying. So my political work is very close to my heart. And sometimes people do want to buy it, and there's some pieces I'll let go and sell. But a lot of times I want to make sure they're going to the right person, not someone who's going to destroy them. And there are people out there that do such things. And this painting, again, it's a busy urban scape. And this was done, like, I think 2003, 2002. And it's a collection of articles where people were still upset because it was interracial marriage. They were upset because they couldn't believe police bias. They couldn't believe profiling. There's all these things they couldn't believe. So I actually have a suitcase full of articles. Okay, and they're also scattered all over my place. And so I used them and put them in here as part of the scape, of the urban scape. But it's still the survival of the people. We still walk and we talk and we breathe and we bleed, but we also walk, talk, and survive. And so this is the story. A lot of people ask me how come I do basically black people, which is an odd question. And I think, well, that's because so many other artists do white folks. There are white folks all over the place. So I want to do my people, but they get quite thrown by that. And this again I was in a place where people, it was after 9/11, and people were choosing with fear. And I felt they were going to make voting choices based on fear. It was a horrible time because people looked like the cars with all the American flags, so it reminded me of Nazi. Too many flags, you can overdo it. And so I just wanted people to think about what they were doing and to choose without fear, because when you do the fear thing, it's too limited and chances are you're going to make the wrong decision. It's not based on what your heart, it's not based on, it's based on greed, and it's based on, I know very intelligent people who come across dumb because their greediness infiltrates and takes over their mind waves as such. And then they make decisions and you're going, why? And so this was to address that. And again, about the issue of voting. How are you going to vote? And don't make it based on fear. So vote without fear, vote with your mind.